I'm Ashley Duke. I'm 16 and I'm Sandy's granddaughter. My grandma asked me to speak, but at first I wasn't sure about it. I've never been good at talking or speaking in front of people, but I'm here today because I know that this is what my grandma would have wanted. Even though I'm heartbroken, I knew that grandma would not want me to be sad. I've never really been to a funeral before, so I wasn't really sure what to say at first. I could talk about the unmeasurable amounts of memories I will always have with my granny. Like the time in 8th grade when I secretly called her and she got me out of school without my mom knowing and took me to lunch and shopping. Or the times where she would turn into a pumpkin at 11 p.m. Or the time we waited in line for the lights for 3 hours and she told us her entire life story. Or how she would always witness to each of our waiters because eating out was our favorite thing to do. The many times she made us laugh. Like 2 summers ago in Myrtle Beach, me and my sister shared a hotel room with her for a week, and each night she would ask us random questions from these cards she had. One night it was 2 a.m. and we asked her how many boyfriends she had ever had. She took her card, put them to her face, and she said, "Hee hee, now that is a secret I will never tell." The way she said it made us laugh so hard we cried for about an hour. In that moment while I watched us all cry as we laughed, I remember thinking I want to remember this moment for as long as I live. Or how I could say, my grandma, or granny as I call her, had many people in her life that each had a different relationship with her, but my relationship with her was extremely special. Nobody wants to say it, but everyone in my family knows I've always been her favorite grandchild. Ever since I was little, she always had a special liking to me. Like on each of our birthdays, she would take me and my siblings out all shopping. My sisters would come home with just a couple of things, and when I would come home, I would have everything I'd ever wanted. All of my dreams come true. I've never had many friends, but my grandma was my greatest friend. Each day I would call her and see if she wanted to just hang out or go on an adventure, aka get her to take us out for lunch. I'm so glad I chose to call and spend all of my time with my grandma instead of spending all my time trying to have friends that wouldn't always be there for me like my grandma was. My grandma would always tell me there's something great about every age. Every single day and new moment was exciting to her. Usually when someone passes away, everyone starts to think of regrets they have and what they chose to do in their life. Thinking of my grandma, I can honestly say I have 0 regrets. I'm so happy I took every opportunity to tell my granny I loved her and was thankful for her. I'm so glad I chose to call her this summer too many times and for way too long. I'm so thrilled that every time I was with her I listened to her advice and stories instead of being busy. I was so privileged that my granny has had such a great impact in my life. While my grandma was in the hospital this weekend, I decided to write her a letter so they may read it to her. I'm so happy she got to hear this, and now I'll read it. Dear Granny, I know you do not want me to be sad for you, but I cannot help it. There are so many things I want to tell you, but most of all I want to tell you I love you. All of my life I've been told I look identical to you. I've always thought that was a very good thing. I hope one day I can be just like you. I've always thought that and will never think anything different. You make me feel better and always tell me everything will be okay and that God's timing is always perfect. You and I have a special relationship together. I spend so much time with you. I consider you one of my greatest friends. I love hanging out with you and listening to your great stories that I'll always remember. Like your first boyfriend, Bobby Loving, or the time you were homeschooled. I always enjoy talking on the phone to you for an hour each day. I love that you are one of the few people in my life that love to hear all about what is happening with me and how I feel. One thing I love about you is your attitude towards adventure. What will be an ordeal to everyone else is always a new memory and can be made into something fun to you. I always try to have that attitude and try to do my best to think of things differently. I'm not really sure what to write because there are so many great things I think about when I think of you. There's only good thoughts I think when I think of you. Every time something is wrong in my life, you somehow always make me forget and always make me feel like I'm perfect. I guess the thing to say now is thank you. Thank you for the million great memories I have with you. Thank you for all of our adventures, and thank you for being the one person who understands me because I am so much like you. Because I'm so much like you, I think you can understand me better than anyone. I hope I can share the great news of God with everyone I meet just like you, and I hope I can be a light to this world like you want me to be. I hope that when I am a grandma one day, I can do everything you have done for us. I don't think anyone can compare to you. You are one of the most important people in my life. When people ask me who my role model is, I always say you. Why? You are the most wonderfulest, hilarious, greatest person ever. Granny, Grands, Puddingtane, I want you here with me to make more memories, but I want to trust God that He knows what He is doing. For my siblings, I want to say that we all love you more than you know, and that we are all praying for you. You have taught us the value of siblings and the importance for us to love one another. I'm so thankful for you, and I love you a million times a million. Love, Ashley, your favorite granddaughter.
most of the time defined as the name of the mother of someone's father or mother, or a female ancestor. However, when I think of my grandma, I think of so much more. I think of the countless laughs and memories I have had with my grandma. I think of the fun times hearing about her old boyfriends and every single memory she ever had in her 83 years. She was not only our grandma, our grands, she was our friend. She was the greatest friend anyone could ever have. She was always up for an adventure, and that is one of the many reasons why I admire her so much. As our friend, she encouraged us, strengthened us, emboldened us, and inspired us. For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Duke, and I just happen to be the second favorite granddaughter. My relationship with my grandma is one beyond measure. No amount of words can sum up the amazing times I've had with her in my short 15 years. That said, my short amount of time on this earth has been filled with many road trips, sleepovers, going to plays, back to school and birthday shopping sprees, circuses, ice shows, and of course, eating out. Out of the millions of memories I made with my grandma, some that stand out the brightest in my mind, all of Grandma's sayings, like Heidi Heidi, this too shall pass, the second verse to the Happy Birthday song, Pleasantly Plump, see you in the funny papers, and life goes on. Along with all of these sayings, I remember putting on programs for my grandma from a very young age. My sisters and I would dress up in crazy outfits and sing songs and dance. She would always take the time to watch our performances and never fail to give us a standing ovation at the end. I remember playing card games like Uno, or as she called it, You-Know. And Grandma always won and would throw her hands up and yell, woo, 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 woo. Or just a few weeks ago on my birthday when Grandma got us out of school early to go out to eat. I remember every time we would spend the night at Grandma's, instead of bedtime stories, we would hear stories from her life. Stories that I will remember forever. Because of my grandma, I now have memories and stories to tell. Like our annual summer trip to the pottery place after swim lessons with Granny. And all the times we went to Chick-fil-A even though she'd rather be at Golden Corral. When I was little, every time I came over, Grandma would read me my favorite book called Love You Forever, which was all about the incredible love a mother had for her son, which reminds me of the amazing love my grandma had for me. With all of these memories comes the ones where Grandma preached to us every chance she got. And when she gave a Bible to every waitress we ever had. I speak for all my siblings when I say Grandma was our role model and that she inspired us to live for Jesus. And she will continue to inspire us each and every day. As she would say, see you in the funny papers, Grandma. I love you forever.
My name is Kendall Duke. I am Kenny and Carolyn Duke's oldest daughter. I have had the privilege of knowing my grandma for the past 20 years. There are so many wonderful memories that I have of her, it seems almost impossible to fit anything worthwhile in such a short speech. My grandma was the best person I have ever met. I always have looked up to her, and she has taught me so much in my short time. My grandma was a major part of my life and my siblings' life, as long as I can remember. She was always there to be a friend and a cheerleader for every single thing in our lives, big or small. I loved always being able to count on her and to be there at all of my school events, plays, programs, awards, grandparents' days, you name it, she was always there. She has always made sure to be there with a smile and a hug and a congratulations. She always made me feel like the most important person to her. She was always genuinely proud of whatever accomplishment or milestone that I had reached. Something I loved about my grandma was her adventurous spirit. It was something that I've always admired and I've wanted to have in my life. Every day was exciting to her. My favorite saying from my grandma was, "There is something great about every age." She really believed that and helped me to realize that with each year that went by. Speaking of years, some of my favorite days were all of the many birthdays that she spent with us. My most memorable one of hers was her 82nd birthday, where Ashley, Casey, Adam, and I took her on a scavenger hunt around Hampton Roads. We took her to Sweet Haven Baptist Church and to her library and to the park, and we finished with a great grand trip to the Cheesecake Factory. I also loved all of our shopping sprees and how special she made us feel by taking us on our own special day. When we were younger, she would make a sign that said Kendall Day and take us on an adventure all over town and take us to wherever we wanted to do. It was such a special tradition that I hope to carry on with my grandchildren. I also remember on my special day, Grandma introducing me to complete strangers and announcing that we were having Kendall Day. Then I always felt embarrassed, but now I realize how proud of me she was even then. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed it until now, but it's something I loved this year is getting to talk to my grandma on Skype from her tablet while I was at college. She would always call me and give me a word of wisdom and tell me how beautiful I looked and how proud of me she was no matter what was going on. This is something I will miss very much going into my 4th semester. My grandma was the most supportive, loving, caring, and funniest person I have ever known. I'm so very glad that we got to spend so much time with her and that she was a part of our daily life. I am also glad that we have gotten to give her millions of hugs and kisses and tell her how much we loved her every time we left from whatever adventure we had just left. She taught us from the day I was born the importance of learning the Bible and following God, and she is one of the major reasons I am who I am today. I hope to be able to keep the memories forever and be like her as I continue to grow up. I hope to continue to make her proud of me because that is the way she always made me feel. I love you, Grandma.
My name is Adam Duke. I love my grandma because she was nice, loving, caring, helpful. She took us places a lot, and it was always fun to be with her. And it was sad to see her go, but I know from verse 2 Corinthians 5:8 to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. I love my grandma and I always will.